The bounty hunters. We need to move 10 minutes ago. This whole sector has been primed to explode. Pukey orders, slotting his cannon back into place and pointing to the main church. Everyone get into cover! A shooter just killed Mother Mailer. You heard him. Glitches, we heard the announcement from his communicator. Everyone get inside! Letha shouts loud with her hood extending to reveal it's got speaker functions as well. That means you three too. Everyone into the main church. We've got force fields. Before anything else can be said, she scoops all Pukey, Scaly, and Cindy into her arms and blitzes into the building. Ma'am! I am a trained soldier. I need to be able to fight the enemy and coordinate with my people. Pukey chides her as she slips out of her grip to take a position with the door frame as cover as he starts scanning the area with both organic and cybernetic eyes. And the first thing to do is get to safety so that you're not target number 2. Letha returns. Fine. Whatever. We need all our backup. Hoagie! You there? He acknowledges before barking into his communicator. Got you loud and clear. What's the situation? Mother Mailer was just publicly executed by sniper fire. The Gravids are about to, if not already in the process of rioting. Tell the captain that my crew and I are at her disposal for quelling the situation and already have 5 combat-trained soldiers in the area. You're counting me as... Scaly begins. I'm counting Onyx. You're half-trained at best, Pukey answers. Confirmed. I'm heading towards the captain now to speak to her in person. Contact me if you figure anything out, Captain Schmidt. If this turns into some kind of war, then thousands will die. I know something, Letha offers. Excuse me? Pukey asks in shock. Put her on, Hoagie orders. I'm fully synth. I'm in the network. Mother Mailer was hoping to use some recent unrest as an excuse to open further temples of the Gravid Mother across the station and attempt a push. She phrased it as saving the soul of Octarine Spin. I don't know if she was sincere or pushing for power. It could go either way. She's lived here a long time and had many, many children, all of which still live on the station. If she intended to clean up the worst of the worst, then she would have targeted decks 2 and 3. She always hated the arena and the nightlife. How do you know this? Pukey asks right away. She offered to allow the Ascension to follow after the hard work was done. She was angling for allies to hold the area, I think. Who else knew this? Pukey asks. Me, Mother Mailer's 3 oldest daughters, Sister Clapperclaw, who's been Mother Mailer's right hand for centuries. Mother Tearclaw of the Astral Guides was invited, and so was Prelate Rashagal of the Unseen Order. 9 suspects, no offense, ma'am. And that's not counting possible spies or simple listening devices catching these plans, Pukey says with a grunt of frustration. If it's related to these plans at all, we need information. We need the killer! Hoagie hisses, and there's the steps of boots hitting deck plating as he's clearly running. According to Onyx and Airfarce, there was first a high-precision laser that burned through Mother Mailer in the head, followed by a plasma blast that destroyed her pregnant stomach, Pukey says, his voice devoid of tone. There's a silence from the other end of the call. Captain! Trouble in Sector 1. Someone just assassinated a woman named Mother Mailer. The guys in there think there's going to be a riot. Assassins? Shit! Who are you on the phone with? The boys on the ground. I don't know what they're up to, but... Hoagie begins, but there's an audible sound of something grabbing the communicator. If I find out you're responsible for causing a riot on my station, I will personally throw you each into the nearest star. We're witnesses, not perpetrators. How important is our victim, Mother Mailer? Mailer? Oh! Minisi snarls before devolving into a language that Pukey can't recognize, but he's going to assume it's very, very foul. Keep yourself and your people out of sight. Do not make things worse. As the station master, I'm ordering you all on the defense. Hunker down until we can sand out whatever is going on. Sand out? Pukey asks as the call disconnects. A saying of her species. To reveal things that use axiom for camouflage without ink hiding everything, Letha offers. Everyone, we must remain calm. In these trying times, we must rely on not only one another, but the strength of our force barriers. We must see clearly from as many angles as possible to make the correct decision. A booming and matronly voice announces, and Pukey turns to see the very woman he's here to speak with. Lady Gear, we were looking to speak with you. Unfortunately, the station decided to go fall into chaos. Have any time in your schedule? Say tomorrow or the day after? Pukey asks calmly as he glances out a window to scan the rooftops. You are an odd one. But yes, I have a few hours open tomorrow. Do you think things will be solved by then? I think that you don't do something this big if you're not willing to move very, very fast. Whatever this assassination was about, it will either take place in the next 3 to 6 hours, or it's just the first step of many over the next few months. Either way, we need to strike while the iron's hot, Pukey answers. Okay, what do we do? Ladies, we need our best hackers and security experts front and center. We have a mystery to solve, and I have a suspicion, Pukey orders, and Litha gives him an odd look. I know my way around a network. What do you need? Security footage of the square where the assassination went on. If we can trace the blasts back to the killer, we're already taking a huge step forward. Everyone else will be doing the same. Everyone else is also alive. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop being alive just to be different. The security footage, please, Pukey requests before his communicator goes off. Captain Schmidt. You can stand down and relax. The killer is dead. Hoagie says there is undeniable bitterness in his tone. Excuse me? Get into the network and go to security camera 1412A. Manisi's saying this is over. I don't think it is, Hoagie says grimly. Nor do I. This is too clean and too quick, Pukey says. Shit sorts out really fast on Octarine Spin, but this is way too much and way too clean. From the first look, the killer committed suicide right afterwards. Apparently, she had a grudge against Mother Mailer for forcibly opening up her marriage where she fell to the wayside, Hoagie says. But that doesn't make sense. It's way, way too vicious a retaliation for that. Killing Mailer is one thing, but the babies? In front of her daughters. Way too vicious, Cindy says. Yay, but the official policy is to stay the hell out of it if we can let it sort itself out without damage. So we're releasing the information and backing off. Great. I'm not going to let this one go, you know. I need to understand just what the hell is going on, Pukey says. So do I. I'm sending you the password and username for a temporary admin account. It self-deletes in 24 hours. It doesn't have root access, but you can play merry hell with the security cameras. It also can't make more accounts. Do not violate my trust on this one. I will make you pay in blood. I read you. Thank you, Pukey says, and he receives the information. Did you have a look through things, big girl? Yes, here's what I found, Litha replies, and a video file shows on Pukey's phone. It shows a young rabbi's taking aim with 2 guns and firing the shots towards Mother Mailer in the distance. Bullshit! There's no way those connected, Scaly says incredulously over Pukey's shoulder. Keep going, Pukey says. Her stance was wrong. Plasma has almost no recoil and lasers have none, but to get that kind of distance you need specialized, long-barreled weapons and special axiom techniques. The only way around that is to use kinetics, but she didn't. Scaly puzzles out as Pukey watches Lady Gear saunter over to take part in this little scheming session. Good, Pukey encourages him. Also, she was using the wrong weapons. That was an ablator and banger. They're non-lethal, especially at those ranges. Unless Axiom can make them lethal? They can, but it severely and visibly damages the weapon, Pukey supplies. There's something else, but I don't. She fires the banger second. The plasma hits second, but it takes time to travel. The laser is almost instant and was only a heartbeat before the plasma, Litha says. She didn't give it enough time, Scaly realizes. Good, there's another big one. Zoom in on the murdered woman, Pukey says, and Scaly does so as Litha makes a sound of understanding. The angle's wrong. This girl's to the side a bit, but the laser goes in between the eyes and comes out the back of the head. If she hit between the eyes, then it would have come out closer to the ear, Scaly says in an awestruck tone. Good man, as you can see. We found our scapegoat. The what? Lady Gear asks curiously. Old tradition in more savage days. A goat would be condemned, and a priest would lay all the sin a village had done upon it. Then the goat would be cast out and exiled, in theory carrying out all the evil and sin with it. It means to blame someone undeserving for your actions, to shift the blame to the undeserving. Pukey explains as he thinks about things. He then brings up his hard light hand to stroke his chin and think, reminding himself that he needs to shave as he's starting to get some stubble in, and that is against regulations. Loose leash protocols be damned. So we have a killer that uses the style of an infamous but never found mercenary on the station. We have a popular public leader dead by this style and a scapegoat offered up. Station policy takes the scapegoat at face value and moves on for the sake of expediency. But it's so blatantly not the scapegoat that anyone that looks at it for 2 seconds will know that. So it's not a secret that the killer's at large. Meaning everyone's still angry, but they don't know where to put it, Cindy says. Meaning the possible riot and rampage isn't canceled, just delayed and looking for an excuse. Pukey says with a look of focus on his face as he churns through the idea. It's a political scale frenzy patch, Letha says in a tone of awe and horror. A frenzy patch? Pukey asks. You wouldn't know about them, darling. Your biology gives you better. Think adrenaline cut with immense rage and then have it directed. It's a popular trick for assassinations. Undirected ones are combat drugs that are kind of like your adrenaline, but not quite. Cindy explains and Pukey nods. So what's going on is that someone has created a situation where a huge number of gravids are really, really angry and need to find who to be angry at. That sounds like a bomb, Scaly says. Then the questions are who the target is and who is setting it off, Letha says, and Pukey thinks. Well, you set a bomb for a target you can't normally reach, or for a great number of them. So who are the untouchables? Pukey asks. That's easy, the station masters. They control the airlocks, the atmosphere, and are able to move around easily, but if you don't care if you die, they're just people, Letha says, and her mother nods. So we've got a possible target in the station owners, Pukey considers. We've also got possible perpetrators among them, too. They dropped the case stupid fast, even with their policy. Also, they might want to have an excuse to reshape this part of the station to specialize in something else. If a big enough riot kicks off, then no one will blame them for just opening this part up to space. They wouldn't. We bring too much profit to the station and cause the least amount of trouble out of all 8 sectors. Why would they attack us? Lady Gear protests. We're just theorizing. We don't know anything for sure, but we need our minds open to all possible possibilities, Pukey says as he rubs his chin with a frown. This may also be a personal attack. A very messy one. But getting an angry mob after someone is a good way to get them killed without any blood on your hands. This could be a coup of some kind, a coup aimed at any of the 8 sections or even the station overall. This is insane. My head's starting to hurt, Scaly complains. Welcome to politics, young cyborg. Until you get a good taste for it, everything is suspect, everything is cause, everything is suspicious, and it all goes in circles endlessly, Lady Gear says in a consoling tone. Do you have any advice, madam? To understand these bits of madness, one must know the patterns, but I'm afraid I have not been here long enough to see them, Pukey says, and Lady Gear nods. I can't give you names, but I can give you an important pattern. The heads of each sector are both very secure and insecure in their power. Many are looking to ascend with a knife in the back as a handhold, but those who are in a position to benefit from such a thing are usually watched very, very closely, Lady Gear explains. Then could all be a distraction. Get everyone looking at Sector 1 and stage a coup elsewhere in the confusion, Pukey realizes as he straightens up. So is it a weapon or distraction? Scaly asks. I don't know. The Bounty Hunters. This isn't over, Bike says, and Tang nods even as he scans the area through a spare sniper scope he brought. Of course not. We don't have all the information, but a public execution is how you send or reinforce a message, not how you end one. Unless the galaxy at large has no idea what a martyr is, Tang responds. Hold on. Something's up. The assassin. Maybe. There was an explosion a few blocks off, a trail of smoke and a blown window, Tang says, moving his head to the side and letting Bike lean in and look through. Something's there. Bike confirms before he focuses on his communicator, and the machine seems to go through a seizure in his hand. Gemgrove apartment complex. Room 827. It had been rented 2 weeks ago to an anonymous party and... He lets out a whistle and Tang leans over to look at the screen. Use the upper head, not the lower one. I was thinking more the gun-wise guy. Where were you looking? Bike asks, and Tang turns away. Read you loud and clear, coming in for the pickup. Airfarce responds to Bike's silent question, and Tang gives him a look. What? I don't have to speak to communicate over technology now. I'd appreciate it if you would speak when it's just allies, Tang remarks as he continues scanning. We may have movement. I think there are survivors to the blast. Then we need to be there yesterday, Bike remarks. I'm telling Air Force to break the speed limits. Lives depend on it. Sure enough, the shuttle pulls out in front of them as Bike finishes sending an email to everyone still in the building to hunker down and stay safe. The door on the shuttle opens and both men barrel in. Where's this apartment? Air Force's question is answered by a beacon on the small screen that gave a readout of their surroundings that he glances at, then glances at Bike. That's going to take some getting used to. A smirk is all the answer he gets. The shuttle closes up and blasts towards the apartment and opens again for Onyx, Tang, and Bike to jump out, weapons ready. Inside are two tall women in armor that is fading into and out of view and broken guns nearby. One plasma, the other a laser, and both massively modified along the barrel, no doubt to give them longer reach. Captain, I believe we found the killers, Bike sends to Pukey as he speaks out loud. What's their status? Backstabbed, sir. Their safe house had a bomb in it, and they're both barely clinging to life. What's your call? There's a few moments and background noise as Pukey speaks to those around him. Bring them to my location. This temple has a medical wing. We can at least stabilize them, and if they have head jacks, then we can interrogate awake or not. I bet that's going to go over well with the church, Bike replies. Baby killers are never popular. Bring them in, Pukey orders, and there's a nod. Both women are swept up and placed in the shuttle with their broken guns brought as well. Bike starts experimenting, and his communicator goes wild before settling on a pair of images, one of the two killers side by side and the other of their guns. Interesting, those are some very difficult modifications. The Mechan deck might be able to pull that off, but it would be hard. Broken or not, those guns are cutting edge, Letha says over the line, and Bike requests exactly who the hell this is. He gets a quick introduction and nods in response. The shuttle pulls in fast and is directed to the garage behind the temple where the assassins are quickly carried to medical. The buttons on the suits are found and stripped off to reveal a pair of panceros out cold and quickly scanned. Nasty concussions for the both of them, shrapnel in their limbs, thermal damage consistent with plasma burns and electrical burns from when the main battery of their suits shorted, Lady Gear says, looking over them personally. No trace of augmetic enhancements, but they do have medical chips in their left forearms. Who are these girls? Pukey asks, glaring down at the women. Eras and Bagis, no registered last names. They're both the other's emergency contact. I'm pulling up info now, sir. They both showed up on the station 2 decades ago, and they have a pattern of moving from apartment to apartment that match when double shots like the one that killed Mother Mailer happened. So we have our killers? Maybe not. The twin-shot assassination style predates their coming by a very wide margin, but if they matched it perfectly afterwards, I think we may be dealing with an organization rather than just a pair of killers. Lady Gear answers, thinking deeply. So we've got 2 loose ends we've kept from getting snipped, but the question is, will this be the one that knocks it out of the park, or is the loose end a trail to nowhere? Scaly asks, and there's thought. Is there a faster way to wake them up? Pukey asks. Head injuries are funny things, and you can bet the concussion will confuse them. Trying to force heal something like that can wipe out memories entirely, Lady Gear says sadly. Damn. Bike, you said they were in an apartment. Trace back its money trail as far as you can and get into the cameras. I want to know who was in there before them, and I want to know if anyone so much as cut a fart in front of the door. He gets a salute in return, and Bike sits down on an empty bed with his communicator propped up on the small table beside it. Its screen is flashing by at an absurd pace, but clearly the man can make sense of it all. The hell? The room was set aside by station staff for 2 days before these girls got it. The money for it also goes right to station control and stops dead. The data was sent by an internal terminal that has neither account nor password, but hardware override into the system. Something that apparently all station staff has access to, even our guys on the inside. Why would they need that? Tang asks. Intimidation. Just an account that lets you know someone with control of the station isn't happy with you or wants something done. It can be anyone from a mid-level administrator to the captain herself. But one of them is paying attention, so be on your best behavior is the message, Lady Gear says. All the trails begin and end at the override access terminal on the main bridge. Literally everyone with access to the bridge has access to that terminal, Bike says, as his communicator stops freaking out from the sheer speed of his data searching. What about cameras? Pukey demands. I've been doing that, Letha's voice says, and she appears in the room in a wave of decloaking hexagons. Somehow even smaller than a normal Nagasha. Shrinking tech because the ship isn't hard enough to secure with invisibility, teleporters and people who can shatter anything solid. Pukey groans, rubbing a hand over his face before focusing. You have the camera feed? Yes. The only person seen coming and going from the apartment was someone wearing the unseen order garb. Or rather, a fetish outfit based off it. Letha explains as her eyes projects the image of a woman wearing a bedla outfit with a veil and hood. Let me guess, the actual ones cover up more? The unseen order is very private about their affairs. They conceal their bodies and all aspects of themselves so that any amount of charity or good deeds they do or is done for them is between them and the greater spirit. A sort of gestalt being they believe is born of the souls of all beings, Lady Gear explains. Really? Sounds like something that can be taken advantage of. It is. The most casual thing they wear when doing good deeds is a veil, at least. The unseen order was created as a reaction to the gross overindulgence and obsession with appearance along the more wealthy parts of the galaxy. A repudiation of it. Damn. What can we get from the image? Pukey asks as his eye adjusts to zoom in. Her eyes are a single color, jet black. What races in the command staff have that feature? Angla and Aromenta. BPH 1100-6 and BMO 1100-55. There are 7 known Angla in the command crew. They generally stick to Deck 1 as they can breathe underwater. The Aromenta aren't jet black, but the water-based ones are dark blue. That ties all this to Deck 1, though. She was planning to go there, Onyx says. What? Lady Gear asks. She had some plans for Deck 1. She even had an image of one of the men off the chain breaker struggling in the water to rouse up the crowd. Dong, wasn't it Itchy that had some trouble in the power armor? It was. The image was manipulated then. But why? There would have been a legit one with Itchy trapped underwater. Why fake it? Onyx asks, and there's a pause. Right when we're figuring it out, we've got another 5 questions. Pukey groans. Bike! You want me to go into the middle of a square about to riot filled with misandrist bondage nuns? Bike demands incredulously. I'll go. Not only will they not bother me much, but I have stealth and more practice than you, Letha offers. You'll do no such thing, Lady Gear protests. You will send a drone to boost your signal and use that to get the information. I will not have you torn apart by an angry crowd looking for an excuse. She's right. One of the first things about high-pressure situations like this is to not take risks you don't have to. There's enough danger and problems to go around. Looking for more is just stupid, Pukey says, and Lady Gear nods empathetically. Fine, drones are less fun, but fine. Letha begins before Pukey, Bike, Airfarce, Onyx, and Tang all visibly tense up. Then there's the slight sound of a laser charging. Hit the deck! Pukey shouts, pushing Cindy under a table as he jumps to and pins Letha to the ground. Onyx grabs Scaly and shoves him to the ground as Airfarce and Bike tackle Lady Gear down as Tang drops to his knees and brings up his long gun. A pair of laser beams erupt into the room and bounce from wall to monitor screen and bury themselves into the heads of Iraz and Bagus. Tang slides across the floor and spins before quickly letting off a massive shot at the base of the nearly imperceptible trail of smoke rising from the air. The recoil sends him skidding back and slamming into the wall as he pulls back on the bolt action and ejects the spent casing to load again. Pukey's plasma sword is out and his cannon is already slotted in as he lets off a trinity of ablator blasts as he rushes the nearest source of the lasers. Take him alive! We need answers! He roars as slashes at a ball of plasma, and to his delight, the movie's got this bit right as the bullet of burning fire is sent back like a baseball to hit the gun it was shot from. Huntress! The plasma shooter screams in shock as her weapon twists into slag, and she throws it away before it detonates. No! The other one screams as Onyx leaps onto the wall and then hurls herself at her opponent. Tang's shot was on the money. Her weapon is destroyed. I've got you covered! Tang shouts as he rises to a knee and steadies himself to thread the needle if he has to. Bike's on the defensive with Airfarce, but makes use of his newest toy and sends out a command to the fire suppression system, and a suppressing foam is shot down from the walls and ceilings to put out any potential flame, but in this case it completely outlines the two no longer invisible attackers. "Stay down!" Airfarce orders everyone with his rifle up and ready in case the fighting moves into the room with the civilians. Letha blurs into movement and charges Pukey's opponent to tackle her and wrap her in her coils, expanding as she does so to completely overwhelm the assassin and getting a nod from Pukey. "Looky what I caught!" Onyx says as she gleefully walks back into the small hospital. The assassin is over her shoulder and utterly limp. And those Crimson Hewer hacks think that forcing people to sleep with Axiom is useless. Ha! Shows what they know. No. This isn't supposed to happen. We're the best of the best. We work in perfect teams together. We're stealthy. We're skilled. We can do what no one else can. We shouldn't lose. We can't lose. The one wrapped up in Litha's coils protests out loud as Pukey tucks away his cannon and sword. Everyone loses eventually. It's how you lose that determines your character, Pukey says, grabbing the larger alien around her neck with his hard, light arm, and then dragging the alien out of Litha's coil with a grip that leaves the woman choking for air and flailing to try and dislodge an arm that only seems to exist where it's outright strangling her. He marches into the hospital room, slams her onto a bed, and quickly Airfarce and Bike strap her down. "Now then, miss, we have some questions, and unless you want today to get even worse, there better be some good answers."